So I'm going to take you through the key formulas I use to diagnose paid media performance in performance marketing. So, there's a lot more formulas I use outside of these, but they're a very good starting point. So let's get into it and I'll talk you through it. So the first one is related to MER, right? Media efficiency ratio. Um, Blended return on ad spend is another name people use. Basically, it's a key performance indicator in e-commerce, and it assesses overall revenue divided by your spend, and it's a metric that assesses the efficiency of your paid media strategy, basically, right? So with that being said, media efficiency ratio or MER is derived from three key metrics: conversion rate, average order value, and cost per session. Now, these three metrics really help you diagnose the reason why MER may be falling, right? Why your efficiency may be falling. If you just look at these three metrics, you will be able to determine why very quickly, and then obviously figure out solutions to you know improve your efficiency. So the first one, I don't think is something that is very easy for a marketer to control. So it's conversion rates. Now, conversion rates very much depend on the conversion rate optimization or the CRO of your website, right? Now, that's outside of your hands. It's more dev work. Now, of course, you can argue the better quality traffic should obviously improve your conversion rate, and that's true. But just generally, I think there's another metric out of these three that is a metric that's easier for you to control as a marketer. So the next one is average order value. And average order value, similar to conversion rate, isn't that simple to control. Now, if you've got a lot of SKUs and you've got a lot of categories, then you can spend more money on the categories that have a higher average order value. Sure, of course you can do that. Um, but generally the average order value is really dependent on basically what price the business is selling their products at. Is there a sale as well that impacts average order value? But generally, average order value, again, it's a little difficult to control, other than driving more money, driving more spend to those higher value categories. Sure. The last one, which I think is the metric that is probably the most accessible to control as a marketer, is cost per session, right? And cost per session really is dependent on how you're running your paid media strategy, right? Like, are you running very efficient ads at the top of the funnel when it comes to Meta and TikTok? Do you have good creatives that are driving very efficient traffic into the funnel? And then do you have a good kind of remarketing strategy when it comes to your middle of funnel to really nurture those users through to purchase, right? Point is cost per session is something that I think is the easiest to control here. And this sheet, right, takes you through what you can expect from a media efficiency ratio if you change either one of these metrics, right? So, for example, conversion rate. If your conversion rate drops to a 1.2, well, then your MER is going to drop to a 3.6, right? And obviously, you can interact with this. So, if it drops to a 1.2, your MER is going to drop to 3.6. Now, if you increase it to a 2.8, then your MER is going to increase to an 8.4, right? Average order value, if you increase it to $168 in this scenario, your MER is going to increase to 8.4, right? And then lastly, your cost per session, right? If you can decrease your cost per session to 24 cents, so half your cost per session, well, then your Mo is going to go up to a 10x, which is huge. So that's the first formula. And as I said, I think cost per session in this scenario is the easiest to control. And as a performance marketer, that is definitely something that I keep a very close eye on. Next is CPA. Now, CPA is a lot more, or is applicable to lead gen businesses, service-based businesses. It's definitely a key performance indicator for service-based businesses. And CPA is derived from cost per session and conversion rate, right? So CPA equals cost per session divided by conversion rate. And it's the same thing here. From my perspective, cost per session is the easiest to control. Now, again, conversion rates really depend on going and creating really good landing pages, which is definitely a very important part, right? And you should definitely do this, right? And really improve the CRO on your website, maybe use landing pages, etc. But cost per sessions, again, you can improve them from a Google Ads perspective by looking at your quality scores, going after higher intent keywords, from a meta perspective or from a paid social perspective, having stronger creatives, etc. Right? Same thing, right? So if your cost per session improves or decreases to 24 cents, then your CPA is going to improve or decrease to $12. And conversion rates, if they increase to 2.8 or your conversion rate increases to a 2.8, then your CPA is going to decrease to $14, right? Next is revenue. Now, revenue, if you want to figure out how to drive, more absolute revenue and you want to forecast it, this is, one way you can approach it. It's not the only way. Definitely, you want to look at other factors and consider other things, right? Such as seasonality and historical data. But the point is, this is a way to forecast revenue growth if one of these three metrics changes, right? So revenue equals sessions times conversion rate times average order value. So if you just double your sessions and CVR and average order value stay the same, which is unfortunately not the case typically in practice, but if it does happen and you double your sessions to 20,000, right, well, then your revenue is obviously going to double, right? So you see here, if it increases to 14,000, your revenue is going to increase to 33,000. And then again, CVR and your average order value, right? So you can figure out if one of these metrics change, then obviously absolute revenue is going to change as well. Lastly, spend, and this is, if you want to kind of forecast spend, you can look at this. Again, there's other things you want to consider, but it's a very easy way to forecast spend. Sessions times cost per session. Obviously, it gives you your spend. If you spend, if you want to drive more sessions, then how much more spend will I need to, will I need basically, right? If I double my spend, right, well, then obviously my sessions are going to double in this scenario, right? So these are four formulas I look at. I think Mo is definitely, this is definitely a key formula that I look at when I look at my paid media activity, when I look at my performance trackers and all of that stuff, right? A lot of the reporting that I put together really centers around these three metrics from an e-commerce perspective. And then from a lead gen perspective, it's slightly different, as I showed in the CPA formula, but it's also similar, right? So I hope that was helpful. And you know what? If you want this sheet for whatever reason, I'll just link it in the description for you guys. It's pretty easy to put together. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.